One of the nice things about the templates is they help you determine if your seam allowance was accurate. We've sewn the two half-square triangles together, and we know they are supposed to be exactly the same size as square number 5. Hi, I'm Marty Michelle. I want to give you just a few quick tips about using your sewing machine and some of the smaller pieces that you'll be using in the Farmer's Wife Sew-Along. Actually, these are good tips for any piecing that you do. First of all, I really haven't said yet, all of our templates and specialty rulers do include a 1/4 inch seam allowance to get to the finished size piece you want. Now that means if you cut accurately, and you can with the templates, and then if you sew accurately with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, your pieces are going to come out exactly the right size, and we love that. There are several things to do. First of all, I highly recommend you get a 1/4 inch foot for your sewing machine. Almost every machine has that available now. But lacking that, you might mark a piece of tape and line up the 1/4 inch. And even still, I want you to test as you're starting. So I'm just going to sew a few stitches. I've sewn with black thread so you can see it. And then I can measure. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty experienced. I can actually measure. Yeah, great. So now that I've tested my seam, and remember that we cut our triangles right sides together so that they would be ready to piece. Now, I have a dual feed, built-in dual feed on this machine, but a lot of times, if you don't have that, a lot of people like to use what they call a little leader. And it goes in first, and it raises the presser foot so that when you put your two pieces of fabric, they are less likely to catch on the bottom of the presser foot and so on. So this comes first, and then this is going to feed in right under it. Well, there you go. And sometimes you need to give a little tug on that. And chain piecing means that as you get to the end of this, I like my needle down position, means that when you stop, the needle goes down. If you've got that feature, make sure you use it. One of the nice things about the templates is they help you determine if your seam allowance was accurate. We've sewn the two half-square triangles together, and we know they are supposed to be exactly the same size as square number 5. So this is what we use to determine this seam allowance is correct. For the metric world, of course, a 1/4 inch seam is, the closest is 6 millimeters. There's one other thing I want to mention. The fancier your machine, the more big, wide, decorative stitches it can do, the more likely you are to want to invest in a single hole throat plate. This is where the needle goes down. This is where the needle goes down on a single hole throat plate. So just, it's exaggerated when I do this, but just so you can get a little idea. Do you see how much fabric I can poke through that hole with a paper clip? Just remember, when you don't change your needles often enough, that dull needle point can do the very same thing. And when you hear thump, 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 thump as you're sewing, it's way past time to change your needle. Now, some people say every project, some say every 3 hours. Doesn't matter what we say, none of us change our needles frequently enough. Use a nice needle, either the 80-12 size or 7511. And you may want to even invest in the slightly sharper quilting needle points. So, cut accurately, sew accurately. Those 6-inch blocks are going to be a dream to make.